Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. I'm your host, and today we are getting into a topic that, honestly, is what truly separates the amateurs from the pros. We're talking about designing reliable deployment scripts. So as part of our broader track on deploying on Solana, and specifically within the Application Deployment to Solana mainnet course, we're in the module covering crafting deployment scripts for Solana. Essentially, we are going to dive headfirst into the fascinating and sometimes stressful world of transitioning from the nice, safe sandbox of devnet to the totally unforgiving reality of mainnet deployments. Look, if you've ever fired off a script and just kind of held your breath, crossing your fingers and hoping nothing breaks, well, this explainer is absolutely going to change your life.
In our previous lesson, we covered risk management and the mainnet vs devnet limitations, and the contrast there is just stark. DevNet is this phenomenal sandbox for inexpensive testing, but let's be real, it simply cannot reproduce mainnet congestion or actual production load. A bad deployment on mainnet, that costs real money, actual SOL, and it risks real assets. It's kind of like taking off your training wheels, only to realize you're suddenly merging onto a high-speed freeway. Because of that, our scripts need some serious architectural rigor.
So, here's our master blueprint for today's explainer. 1. The mainnet reality check. 2. The deployment manifest. 3. Mastering idempotency. 4. Safe deployment workflows. And finally 5. Verification and next steps. Let's get right into it.
All right, Section 1, the mainnet reality check, building the foundation.
In our other courses here at Forge College, we always emphasize these 3 foundational pillars for reliability. First up, reproducibility. This means identical inputs yield identical on-chain effects every single time, no surprises. Second, independency. That's a fancy word for preventing accidental repeat side effects if your automation happens to stumble. And third, security and secrets management, because, frankly, hard-coding your private keys into a script is literally the fastest known way to accidentally fund a hacker's early retirement. We absolutely must integrate these securely without exposing sensitive config.
Moving right along to Section 2, the deployment manifest, your master blueprint.
Okay, think of the manifest as your declarative intent. You are essentially writing down exactly what the final state should look like before you ever even pick up a hammer. Instead of writing out these imperative steps like run this, then run that, you declare I want my program ID to be X and my config to be Y. Putting this intent into a version-controlled repository gives you a clear paper trail. It's a strict, auditable contract between what you intend to do and the automated execution itself.
Looking at this code snippet, the very first mechanical component of our script is loading this manifest so it knows exactly what target state we're trying to achieve. By reading a simple JSON manifest from your disk and parsing it into structured entries, your deployment suddenly becomes predictable. If something goes wrong, you don't have to guess what commands were blindly typed into a terminal. You just look at the JSON. It's beautifully simple and honestly incredibly effective for reproducibility.
All right, Section 3, Mastering Idempotency, the magic button.
Just humor me for a second here. Imagine the totally disastrous scenario of deploying the wrong program twice, or, I don't know, accidentally overwriting a really delicate configuration just because a CI pipeline glitched and ran a script back-to-back. If your script just blindly executes commands, you're going to end up with double upgrades, repeated configuration writes, and just a massive, massive headache. So, how do we prevent these duplicate side effects? Well, this is exactly where idempotency comes in. The best way to think about it is like an elevator button. Pressing that button 100 times doesn't make the elevator arrive any faster, right? Similarly, running a safe script 100 times shouldn't break your blockchain state. An idempotent script checks the current reality against the desired reality. If they already match, it smiles, nods, and does absolutely nothing. It literally reduces your blast radius to 0 on repeat runs.
Now, depending on the complexity of your deployment, you have a few specific idempotency tools at your disposal, as you can see in the schematic. For standard configuration updates, a simple manifest combined with a state diff works perfectly. You just compute what's missing and apply the minimum diff. For critical upgrades where you absolutely cannot have concurrent runs under any circumstances, you'd use a distributed lock file. And for large-scale rollouts, you design idempotent on-chain operations right into your smart contracts so they just naturally ignore duplicates. Combining these strategies is what gives you absolute peace of mind.
In our code skeleton here, this single function, idempotent, acts as our ultimate safety valve. Before spending a single fraction of a SOL, it fetches the actual on-chain data. Maybe it compares the program bytecode hash to the expected fingerprint, or maybe it checks if a config account already holds the expected values.
If the state matches the manifest, it returns true and just short-circuits the execution entirely. By keeping this function completely side effect free, meaning no signing, no sending, you can safely run it in CI pipelines over and over again with literally zero risk.
Section 4, Safe Deployment Workflows. Measure twice, cut once. So this 6-step workflow you see here is basically your safety inspection. It ensures every single risk is mitigated before an actual transaction is signed and sent to the network. You start by declaring intent in your manifest. Then you validate that you're actually on the right cluster, like making sure it's devnet versus mainnet so you don't accidentally deploy to production. Then we simulate, check for idempotency, pass it through an approval gate, and finally, execute.
Let's look closely at step 3, the dry run. This is your measure twice phase. It is a completely signature-free deterministic simulation. It catches fee estimates, verifies account existence, and computes the exact delta between your current on-chain state and your desired state, all without mutating a single thing. It's essentially a free sneak peek into the future to make sure your logic is perfectly sound before you commit.
When it finally comes time to execute in step 6, we intentionally separate the construction of the transaction from the actual submission. Our execute function builds the transaction, sure, but it does not automatically sign it. This pause is absolutely crucial. It allows for human review or multi-sig approval gates, preventing rogue scripts from spending funds without explicit authorization.
Finally, Section 5, Verification and Next Steps, Proving the Build.
By logging these first-class artifacts, you basically transform a messy, ad hoc script into a predictable automation primitive that is an absolute breeze to audit during incident triage. You rerun your idempotency checks post-deployment. Ask yourself, did the on-chain state actually change to what we wanted? We log the manifest checksum, the exact transaction fingerprints, and the post-verification results. If something ever breaks down the line, these logs will tell you exactly what ran, why it ran, and the precise state of the chain the moment it finished. So, to wrap up designing reliable deployment scripts by embracing declarative manifests and idempotency, you are now perfectly prepared for our next lesson on building automated deployment tasks. That's where we'll translate all these concepts into concrete CI pipelines and scheduled jobs. You've effectively learned how to turn chaos into a predictable, boring, and utterly safe routine, which, believe me, is exactly what you want when dealing with mainnet. To explore more Web3 concepts and level up your skills, be sure to check out our learning resources over at Forge College.
Until next time, I want you to ask yourself, is your automation truly safe, or have you just been getting lucky? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and we will see you in the next one.